Hi there. This is a compilation of a bunch of different shorts I made talking about various elements in the Pokemon franchise. Just playful banter and discussion, you know? So let's get right into it, I guess. Pokemon gender differences. Everybody knows Pikachu and Eevee, with them having heart-shaped patterns on their tail. But did you know Raichu has a gender difference too? Yep, the female form doesn't have a pointed tail. There are some Pokemon whose gender differences is their gimmick, namely Indeedee and Meowstic. There's also Jellicent with the male form notably looking like Mr. Pringles. Hey, did you know that Mr. Pringles' canon name is Julius Pringles? Venusaur has a gender difference, in the female version having a little seed on top, but that disappears in its mega form. Only female Combee has this little red mark, which determines whether or not it's going to be valuable. Interestingly, Illumise and Volpe are female and male respectively. Couldn't they have been just one species with gender differences? Whoa, shiny Hippowdon! Wait, nope, that's just a female one. Jotonian Wooper has a gender difference, but the Paldean form just doesn't. Now for my favorite gender difference, Torchic. Can you see it? Okay, what about now? Okay, what about now? Yeah. Looking at the top 5 best-selling Pokemon games. At number 5, we have the original Diamond and Pearl. Makes sense considering it was a new gen on one of the best-selling consoles of all time. Lots of people seem to have fond memories with it. At number 4, we have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Impressive considering it's brand new. You know that one Miyamoto quote though, right? A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game sells 10 million copies in 3 days. At the number 3 spot, we have Gold and Silver. Pretty cool. I mean, it was the height of Pokemania, so makes sense. At number 2, we have Sword and Shield. Now that's pretty interesting to see. Sword and Shield weren't the best games, but they weren't that bad either. And I mean, the Switch was really successful, so that adds up. And number 1, to nobody's surprise, was Red and Blue, and I guess Green on the Game Boy. It's what started this whole crazy journey we've been on. But hey, we all know that the real champion is Pokemon Dash, baby. Pokemon Dash Sweep. 10 billion units. Looking at some glitch Pokemon. First up, we have Mr. Missing Number himself. He duplicates your items, he wrecks your Hall of Fame, and he has his dopey tongue sticking out while doing it. Now, don't forget about his other appearances, being 2 skeletons and a ghost! Now, Gen 1 has a lot of other glitchmons too. If we look at our friend Bulbapedia, with all these glitches, you'd think we'd be playing Scarlet and Violet. Ha 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 ha. Jumping up to Gen 3, we have these guys. I don't know how to pronounce these names, but I do know that they just mostly crash your game. They're just kind of placeholders for when the game doesn't know what Pokemon to load. Now, existing from Gen 3 to today, we have the legendary Bad Egg. It's less of a glitch and more of an anti-cheat, showing up when you hack in illegal or non-existent Pokemon. It doesn't really do anything extravagant, just kind of taking up space in your boxes. But there was that one time you could get them legitimately in Scarlet and Violet. Yeah, that happened. Anyway, all of these iconic glitch Pokemon, and my favorite is still Pokemon exclusive held items. And I'm not talking about things like the Protector or the Reaper Cloth. I'm talking about things like Pikachu's Light Ball. It increases Pikachu's attack stats to the point where it's even more powerful than Raichu. There's also the Thick Club, which doubles Cubone and Marowak's attack stats. Now, I don't know what's so special about this club when compared to, like, the Rare Bone, but hey, at least they have different menu sprites. There are the Elemental Plates, which are mainly used for Arceus, but they can help other Pokemon if you really want to do that. Farfetch'd and Surfetch'd have the Leak, which increases their crit rate. This item implies that this isn't a leak. There's the Lucky Punch that increases Chansey's critical hit rate. You know, Chansey, the Pokemon that's always physically attacking. Now, of all Pokemon, Ditto has 2. Metal Powder boosting defense and Quick Powder boosting speed. Now, as soon as Ditto transforms, these powders become entirely ineffective. Okay. Pokemon Evil Team logos. Team Magma's logo is nice and sleek, while Team Aqua's logo does indeed look like something you'd find on a pirate ship. Team Yell's logo is nice and sleek, but not much more than that. I guess it's also like Marnie's logo or something, but why is her logo a Y? Team Flare, forgettable villains, forgettable logo. Team Plasma has a really nice logo, probably the most elaborate one we've seen. Team Galactic's logo is pretty bland, that's all I have to say really. Macrocosmos' logo is really good. Too bad nobody remembers what Macrocosmos is. Team Skull is peak Pokemon villain, and hey, peak logo to boot. Guzma's even got that on a gold chain, look at my boy. I think the Aether Foundation is the only logo to not have a letter in it. Team Star's logo is really simple but so nice at the same time. Depending on who you ask, Team Mystic is an evil team too. And the classic Team Rocket. Check this out, I made the logo. I guess they get bonus points for having the Pride version too. The best Pokeballs out there. Of course, there's the Ultra Ball. Always reliable, giving a 2x catch rate to anything you use it on. However, did you know that in certain conditions in Gen 1, the Great Ball is actually better to use? Check out dragonflycave.com, it's a really cool website that helps you calculate those things. There's also the Dusk Ball, giving a 3x catch rate whenever it's nighttime or you're in a cave. Now in Pokemon Moon, daytime and nighttime swap in-game. This makes the Dusk Ball a no-brainer in Alola. There's the Heavy Ball, which functions pretty uniquely from any other Pokeball. It adds to the catch rate. So for example, Groudon's catch rate would become a 43 with a heavy ball instead of just a 12 with a maxed out timer ball. The Beast Ball, of course, has a whopping 5 times catch multiplier on any Ultra Beasts, but a 0.1 times multiplier on anything else. The Quick Ball has a 5 times multiplier on the first turn of battle only. And if you want to get really technical, the Park Ball has a 255 times multiplier, only in the Pal Park. And then the Master Ball. It's the Master Ball. What more do you want me to say? Even more of the best Pokeballs out there. We've got the Heavy Ball. No, not that Heavy Ball. The one from Legends Arceus. With its evolved version, the Gigaton Ball, it can have up to a 2.75 multiplier if you hit a Pokemon in the back. There's the Repeat Ball, giving a 3.5 times multiplier when used on a Pokemon that's already registered in your dex. Now, this might sound situational, but if you're shiny hunting, this ball is going to be your best friend. The Luxury Ball doesn't have any catch rate multiplier, but it doubles the gain of friendship, making some evolutions like Lopunny and Crobat no problems whatsoever. I also think it's the best looking Pokeball out there, if you couldn't tell already. The Fastball is pretty interesting, having a 4 times catch rate on any Pokemon with more than 100 base speed. That makes it a no-brainer for catching any fully evolved Pokemon or maybe even legendaries. The Net Ball has a 3.5 times multiplier on any bug or water type Pokemon, and considering how common those types are, this ball can be really useful. Okay. Now, I've heard a lot of bad press about the Heal Ball. In the early game, when Pokemon aren't going directly to your PC, having a newly caught, fully healed Pokemon is a savior sometimes. So show the Heal Ball just a little bit more respect. Professor Oak. Everybody knows who this guy is. However, there are a bunch of other Pokemon professors that you probably didn't know about. Professor Sonia is the professor of the Galar region, right? Well, hell, my sweet little Sprigatito. That only happens halfway through the game. Up until that point, Professor Magnolia is the professor. She has no personality, so no wonder no one knows who she is. Remember Pokemon Troze? An interesting little DS game. The Pokemon professor of that game is Professor P, and this is what he looks like. Troze had a really weird art style. Pokemon TCG Online had its own professor, RIP TCG Online. Her name was Holly, and this is what she looked like. That's just straight up clip art. Now, you might know of Burnett, Professor Kukui's wife, but did you know that she had her own role in Pokemon Dream Radar? Yeah, this was before she got tanned by the Alolan sun. There's Professor Hastings from the Pokemon Ranger games, said to have a hasty personality. Oh, name's pretty fitting. The most recent addition to the family is Neroli, Professor Neroli from Pokemon Sleep. He specializes in tracking the sleep patterns of Pokemon. Split evolution Pokemon. Eevee is the evolution Pokemon in general, having the ability to evolve into 8 different forms. Wurmple's pretty iconic in this field, being able to evolve into either Beautyfly or Dustox. I guess it's not totally random because it's determined by Wurmple's personality value. While not exactly a split evolution, Esper evolving into either male or female Meowstic determines what moveset it can have. There's Clamperl, which can evolve into either Huntail or Gorbis. Hey, do you know when Clamperl's holding a Deep Sea Tooth, it has higher special attack than Mewtwo? Mega Mewtwo? Watch out. Of course, there's Tyrogue, who evolves into Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, or Hitmontop, depending on what its stats are like. As of late, a lot of split evolutions have just been version exclusives, with Charcadet and Applin having version exclusive evolution items. And there's Scyther, evolving into either Scizor or Cleavor. Both of these evolutions have the same base stat total as Scyther, just distributing them differently. Now we have Cosmoem. This evolution is determined by what way you wanted to spend $50. Split evolution Pokemon. Again, Rockruff can evolve into 3 different forms, all of which with different base stat, distribution, movesets, and even TM compatibility. Male Kirlia can become either Gardevoir or Gallade. Kubfu can become one of 2 different Urshifu forms, each with different typings. Gen 2 introduced a lot of split evolutions, such as Gloom evolving into either Vileplume or Blossom, Poliwhirl evolving into either Poliwrath or the funky little Politoad, and Slowpoke evolving into either Slowbro or Slowking. Now that's not all for Slowpoke, because its Galarian form has its own attributes, with new forms for Slowbro and Slowking. Snorunt can either become the aggressive Glalie or the equally aggressive Frostlass. Female Burmy evolve into Wormadam, while male Burmy evolve into Mothim. Finally, Nincada. How do you classify this? It's not really a split, considering you always get both. How about this? It's Mitosis. I know that Incan and Shedinja is just the discarded shell and not actually an evolution of Nincada. Whoa, I almost forgot about Toxel. It can evolve into either amped or low-key Toxtricity. Their only difference is a single move. Worth it. The strange Pokemon of Pokestar Studios. You've got the UFO based on Cascoon. Its types can either be flying and electric or psychic and electric, depending on what film it's in. There's also MT, presumably standing for Mecha Tyranitar, but who knows, it could just be from Montana or something. And hey, this was years before Pokemon Violet gave us an actual Mecha Tyranitar. There's this little robot dude. Look how jolly he is. Too bad he crumbles. Next up, we've got this guy, only ever referred to as humanoid. His ability is insomnia, which is funny, considering I'm not gonna sleep tonight, probably. And that's not all. He fights alongside this, named Monster. And they both come from the Red Fog. This is just straight up a creepypasta. This isn't Pokemon anymore. We've got people, too. Black Belt. That's just a dude. Bryson Man. That's just straight up Bryson. He can levitate, too. Last is Monica, as part of the Giant Woman film series? No comment. A brief history of Pokemon online connectivity. The DS was the first Nintendo console with Wi-Fi, so Diamond and Pearl had the Union Room. A small little space allowing players to trade and battle each other. There's the introduction of the GTS, allowing you to trade Pokemon all over the world. And the Underground, a catalyst for secret bases and traps. Lots of traps. Pokemon Black and White saw the Entralink. This area in the center of the Unova region allows players to do little quests together. That's pretty neat. You could also FaceTime people with your X transceiver, but it was the DS, so. Pokemon X and Y introduced the PSS, the easiest to use online functionality the series ever got. Plus, seeing all the little icons down there is fun. Sun and Moon had the Festival Plaza. It was really nice for getting items, but it was a pain to actually use as a friends list. The people you wanted to communicate with often wouldn't show up in your plaza. Also, the Sun and Moon GTS is broken now. Sword and Shield gave us the Ycom. That's it. It's very bare bones with no options at all. Lastly, Scarlet and Violet kind of gave us an updated version of the Ycom with the Poké Portal. But the main attraction is the Union Circle, allowing you to play simultaneous multiplayer. It's a blast to do, even if it's not for the intended reasons.